Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Monday. It's September 30th. Oh, I almost felt a little weird, like I should be saying October, but not yet. Tomorrow. The last day of September. And the fall is off to a running start. Catch up if you can. Or parlay through it, whatever your pleasure. But indeed, tomorrow is the first day of October. And on the 2nd, we have the new moon solar eclipse coming up, which I'll most likely talk about tomorrow if I have the time to get to it, meaning to prepare to get to it beforehand, because I do have some things on my agenda tomorrow. But worst case scenario, I'll try to hit it as early on the 2nd as I possibly can. No promises, of course, but it's happening sometime in the mid-afternoon. So worst case scenario, I'll try to be right in the pocket of the energy at the time that it's happening. And then, hopefully that frequency transmits accordingly, but we shall see. I'm kind of surrendered to the flow right now, because I got too many balls in the air, pause, to really be able to commit to one thing or another. So just know my best intentions is to share a message that's as timely as it possibly can be. And really the moon messages can almost be a little bit timeless, particularly in the range of delivery that they usually come, because I certainly wouldn't be much later than the 2nd if I could help it. And we're already kind of amping up in that energy now, and probably will be lingering still at least 3 days after, if not more, because this is a big one. So in any event, let's see what we got today, shall we? The 8 of Pentacles, and I love how like every day this little split action is happening. Let's see, because I see this card peeking out at me. It's so funny how the cards just like kind of switch it up as they feel guided to. So let's see, we got the Page of Swords looking over at the 8 of Pentacles. So somebody's hard at work, focused, dedicated, completely consumed. I feel like there's like a dedication to purpose here with the 8 of Pentacles. It definitely could be somebody that just really takes their job very seriously, whatever that is. And it also doesn't have to necessarily be an actual job where somebody, reports in, clocks in and clocks out every day. But whatever, maybe it just could be generally like whatever this person puts their mind to, they give 100%. They give a lot of themselves. They invest a lot of themselves into it, and that's why they're so successful, clearly, with the 8 of Pentacles, because that's definitely what this indicates, that somebody is highly productive, dedicated, ambitious, definitely no stranger to hard work, has stamina and the willpower, I guess, more or less, to see something through. Like this person started with 1 pentacle and now is they're 8 in production, more or less. Well, the 8th one is in production. So yeah, but it feels like it, given I just said that, like somebody is definitely actively creating, or maybe I heard innovating, actively innovating. It's deeper than just work here, because the 8 of Pentacles, even for me, is always a card that it's like, even if it is a job, it's a job that you really take a lot of pride in, and you take a lot of pleasure in as well. Like I usually say like you would almost do it for free, but because you have so much love for whatever it is, or so much, you feel so connected to whatever it is, you don't have to do it for free, because all of that passion that you invest yields a profitable return, a material return for sure. But somebody else is watching, though. Page of Swords. It's like somebody else on the sidelines or at a distance is either observing someone work hard, or trying to see how they work, is what I just felt. Like it doesn't feel just like a curiosity and like an intrigue, like, that person is a really hard worker. I wonder why he, I wonder how he does it, or like in a very casual and almost innocent way. I could be wrong, but I feel like the feeling that I have is that someone is completely, what's the right word? They're consumed, as like I said, somebody's consumed in their work. I think I said that, like, this person is consumed in how someone is so productive. Like they're almost studying their moves, or trying to see, like, I just heard, don't sweat the technique. Who's that? Is that, that's either Rakim. I think that's Rakim. I'm pretty sure. It's either Rakim or it's Big Daddy Kane, who also is, infamous for his song, I Work, I get the job done. Hold on, now I gotta know who sings Don't Sweat the Technique. I got my other phone here today. Yeah, Eric B. and Rakim, I thought so. And of course, as I said, Big Daddy Kane, another hip-hop legend, has a song called I Work. I work, baby. Now, he wasn't talking about work. He was talking about a different type of getting busy, if you know what I mean. But hell, maybe somebody's intrigued by that. Like, I don't know. It's getting weird now. But so, okay, so to put it together, maybe someone is most intrigued by not so much how a person does a thing, or the results that drive that they yield, but where does that source of passion come from? That's what they're hawking and trying to emulate. Like, damn, because it's like you could have 5 people on the assembly line working on the same product, but every person's going to work at his own rate and have his own productivity, and that could depend on multiple things. But where one just may be driven by the money, maybe the more you put out, the more money you get, or another might just be driven by challenging themselves to the quantitative success, like being able to say they can put out this much. And then where another might actually just take a great deal of pride in being so productive, you know, or maybe take a great deal of pride in what they're producing, that, as I said before, it is hyperactively productive, you know, like they almost like they get lost in the work. And so before they know it, it's lunchtime or time to get off, or, you know, time to go home, or whatever the case may be. But they've gotten so much done because they've been completely engrossed in the passion of what they do. Now, to put those two together, of Eric B. and Rakim and Big Daddy Kane, that's what somebody is idolizing, because the results speak for themselves, you know, that somebody gets the job done, okay? But it's the passion, the thing that's on the inside, the fuel, that life force fuel, that somebody is like, how though? Like, if they could just bottle up that force fuel for themselves and drink it like an elixir, they would. But the reason why they couldn't at this rate is because at the Page of Swords, this is somebody too busy worrying about how other people do it, how other people work, how other people get the job done. They sweating everybody else's technique instead of cultivating their own organically. That's why they haven't figured out the recipe for their own elixir yet, because they're still trying to extract it from other sources outside of their own. This person needs to find their own passion, their own drive, their own technique, their own product, their own gifts, maybe, because that could even be the Eight of Pentacles, could be somebody that has a lot of gifts and talents, or at least they seem to be very multi-talented, you know, type of person where no matter what they do, it always seems to prosper. But again, it's not simply on account of someone just doing stuff, you know what I mean? It's because that someone may be, in this frequency, may be so selective about what they do that whenever they decide to do a thing, they're going to give it 110%, you know, or they're going to put their all into it, or they're going to see the job through to its completion. And not just to say they did it, but with passion, with zeal, with, you know, with intentionality, with attention to detail. He's literally handcrafting each one of these stars, you know, not trying to mass manufacture it per se. So but it feels like somebody's looking upon, like almost looking for the secret, because they want to be able to produce that way. But again, maybe even perhaps to get around the work itself and get straight to the source, like straight to the elixir, the force fuel, like it almost be like a instantaneous transmission of sorts, if they could have it that way. That's what somebody is looking at here. Interesting. All right, well, I'm gonna put all this back. Definitely look out for those two songs in the comments and on this community tab, because more than likely I will post them. But let's see, you don't have to threaten me with a good time to post a classic hip hop tune. My pleasure. Especially those two, like, you can't get no more. Wow, okay. A twofer out the gate. You can't get no more classic and legendary, I should really say, is what I really mean, like hip-hop legends, than that. At the dawn of hip-hop shifting into its Hollywood era. Well, kinda, because they wasn't really getting paid Hollywood money, or, you know, just yet, but it was definitely gaining traction and popularity and crossing over and, you know, becoming more than just like a niche genre at that point. It was really starting to make waves in the mainstream at that point. Yeah. I don't know why I'm talking about that. It's definitely, you know, unique to my golden years. Not, well, no, not golden years, because I was a kid when all of that was happening, but I just happened to have an aunt that was a teenager. So when she would babysit me, she would literally like record Yo MTV Raps every day to watch after school. And when I would come over to her house, because I damn sure wasn't watching it at my parents' house, I would ask to watch that on the VC, like on the TV. I would ask her to, you know, can I watch the rap tapes? And she would let me. So I got my hip hop education watching VHS Yo MTV Rap episodes at a young tender age before I even knew what like I said, back then I ain't know when he was talking about our work what the hell he was talking about, but I know now. All right, so we got the Temperance and the Eight of Wands. This is some acceleration. I'll say supernatural acceleration. That's why somebody is such a spectacle, because the way that they work seems almost like otherworldly. It's like you can see the physical results of how somebody is working, but the rate of productivity in a human sense doesn't make sense. And that's the part that is intriguing, you know, like somebody is like a case study, or at least people feel like they want to study their energy. Like, how the hell is he making all those coins in this small, you know, this short period of time? Whatever these coins are, whatever that those, you know, coins represent, it could even really just be energy, like regenerating their energy. It could, yeah, especially with the Temperance card, it could be someone that no matter what, they always seem to bounce back and better. You know, like they always seem that they, you know, if you think about an assembly line, it's like you have to kind of keep up a pace, you know, more or less to stay productive. And it's like somebody that no matter what the task is at hand, or what even they're even focused on, they always seem to generate something productive, even prosperous of themselves. That could literally be somebody that could be, damn, I don't even know how I feel this, but it could be somebody that literally in any environment, you know, like they could be a street hustler and always seem to be able to stay one beat ahead of the rest. They could be some working in corporate America and somehow always find a way to make their own, you know, to forge their own path, or you know what I mean, or like I said, working in a blue collar job and they're like on it, like no matter what industry or what environment somebody is in, they're just always productive, always successful. There's something about that here. This Temperance card, this Eight of Wands, it's like, it's a supernatural energy that someone has been, or some, maybe just generally, maybe I'm talking about, you know, divine beings in general being a bit of a spectacle and a phenomenon in some ways, because the limitations of the 3D world just aren't conducive for hyper productivity. You know, there are a lot of odds, a lot of resistances, a lot of obstructions and interferences, you know, intentionally imposed, let alone what's just natural to the human senses. Yeah, so to see someone actually thrive, like in their unnatural habitat, to see like a celestial being or, like an angelic force or, um, what did I just call it? Like a divine being or something, somebody that more or less is operating on supernatural frequency. I don't know how to say it, and like just on some other stuff. Working in the flesh is kind of like, how do they do it? You know what I mean? And like people, again, like I said, with the Page of Swords, that are not looking within themselves to source that frequency, are astounded, maybe even provoked to who knows what with that sword in his hand, because at first it starts as intrigue and observation, then it can become obsessive and stalkerish, and then it can become aggressive and violent. Who knows, like what progression that can lead to eventually when someone is just too fixated on what someone else has or how someone else operates or who someone else is overall, missing the point of the reflection, which is, if what you're seeing is amazing to you, then perhaps you can do it too. As simple as that. There's really no mystery here, but that would be up to someone else's choice to see things that way, which we, have no control over how people perceive themselves or others. But nonetheless, this temperance is just something, it's something deeper than that though. What's on the bottom? Oh, what did I say? I said it can easily it can progress into something violent at its worst. It can be provoked to this dark nature, like the sheer opposite, of this energy. Like that can ultimately be what is provoked within someone, like to kind of be agitated. How they say like your light irritates somebody's demons. At first it's all good and it's cute and it's even entertaining, and then it's like, well, hold up, how does he do it, and can I do it too, or can I do it like he does it? And then that's when it gets weird. Like I was saying, like then it starts getting weird and it becomes obsessive and possessive, and fear-based and insecure-based and all that stuff. But what are we talking about here with the Temperance, the Eight of Wands? Because this feels very progressive, forward-moving, upright, highest frequency. That there is, I feel like the Eight of Wands is coming from this Temperance energy, or it could even be the force that is transporting this energy and transferring it in the in the how can I say this? Because this is the energy that is already on Earth, the Temperance card. This is what a human vessel can embody, or at least source. But it's interesting that it's before the Eight of Wands. So is this like an acceleration of that presence, an advancement of that presence? Maybe, yeah, where it feels like an intensity that is brewing or amping up. And I'm not sure if it's on account of a response, to this obstinate energy here. Because, all right, I'm going to tell you how I see it. It's like that Eight of Pentacles is like somebody almost, like I said, almost being like a case study, working behind the glass. Like they don't even really know they're being watched because they're not worrying about anybody else. They're just focusing on the task at hand or whatever their purpose to work on. Now, on the outside, it just looks like a man making some shit. You know what I mean? Like just a man at work. But it's something about that spiritual identity or that super essence of that man, that which was a bit of a mystery, that now is kind of like breaking out or revealing itself in its raw form. And that could cause, is both reactive and proactive, because it's reactive to the densities that would have kept that Eight of Pentacles compressed and suppressed in this human confinement of sorts, or in this limitation of humanity, when all along the reason why a being may look supernatural is because they, in essence, they are. But there's something about this, like if this is here per se, which is what I'm feeling, it's like this relay of advanced frequency is a call and response to captivity. Here in the Devil card, see these humans like chained up from really being this. So this is like the supernatural response, like the Avengers, so to speak, which is more of an energy or a frequency that's being transferred into whatever assigned human vessel it's associated with, or whatever human vessel it's assigned to, I should say. And this is the effect here, the Temperance energy, but it also had to be, here it is, had to be the cause, because in order for this energy to have a destination to efficiently transfer to and through, there would have needed to be temperance already established, even when it just looked like that Eight of Pentacles man just busy working on himself or working on his job or whatever. It's that internal mystery of how does he do it that is the attractive force on the inside, of which this Eight of Wands energy is now being drawn into. And that is the activation, almost like a combustion of sorts, to break that Eight of Pentacles energy out of its shell to be fully functional in this temperance frequency, like literally angel on earth, earth angel, God power type of energy that ultimately is the constructive force against these dark densities, and not in a way where it's like on guard, angels against demons, like fighting swords in the streets, but because there's more of this, it automatically, there will be more of this, and more of it empowered in such a way where it can't be contained, concealed, and even so, it's not even a mystery anymore. Like what some may have been observing to kind of decode or understand or trying to get to the bottom of, or to the core of, doesn't even have to be contemplated anymore, because it'll be just as like literally like seeing somebody walk around with wings. Maybe not for real, but this is the aura of divine beings that can no longer be contained or concealed. Maybe just because it's time for it not to be, because the more prevalent this energy is, without mystery, without veil, the more of a spectacle it gets to be for those that are still here and don't even know that they are privy to this here. Like back to that Page of Swords where he's looking like, how can I do that? Well, here you go. Here is the answer key, if you will. You know, like, I'm just like you. I'm a man too, but this is what has been you know, flowing through my veins or my DNA or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then those that observe that with their own two eyes and then also have the will and the strength to release themselves to tap in will do so. The imbalance now has been that most of us have been bound, you know, up until this point, or at least up until some big bang that looks like it's about to happen or is to come. That most of us were in the same place of ignorance, even those that may have even felt that they had more of a drop on others because they have materially been able to produce at a greater rate than some. Even that's been, you know, that hasn't been, I don't know how to say it, but I think you know what I mean. Even those that think they had the drop still didn't. So those that really didn't have the drop and may have even had, you know, limitations in producing in even the material ways that, you know, one can control more or less, right? Are going to have the opportunity to even advance their ambitions in a more accelerated way, particularly surely on the sincerity of their intentions. So not everybody for sure that's bound in this way will break out into this like angel essence or godlike power. There may be, you know, there's a process and, you know, liberation that happens in steps. Maybe I'm wrong, because the Eight of Wands is like quick and can be sudden. So I don't know. Maybe it could be like, you know, the end of, yeah, it could be. You know, like the end of The Wiz, when they kill the Wicked Witch, and then all of her like minions or monkeys or whatever the heck they were, you know, all her slaves pretty much just started breaking out of their shells. And then they were like more or less like naked, and not really all naked, but they were like really scantily clothed, men and women. And they were like, that was the big finale dance scene or whatever, when everybody's free and flowing and happy and joyful, and just, you know, the nakedness is representing their innocence, you know, like them being purified and cleansed of that dark density. So it could end up, I mean, I certainly don't know for sure. Like, it could be something like a modern day Big Bang type of situation, whether we feel it, hear it, or not, but that could shake up creation in a way where what was bound is suddenly released. and it has been on account of those of us that have been keeping our head down, working at that Eight of Pentacles, just focusing on yourself, not trying to save the world, every last one, but just focusing on what you can do in your own capability to make a difference, for yourself first and foremost, holding that space and that capacity to magnetize this frequency of help, ultimately, that would accelerate those efforts. Certainly that must be going on, universally, I would imagine, in my utopian mind, enough of it in such a way that could be the supernova of sorts for it to have an effect on others. And even if it's not like immediately my chains are broken and I'm unbound and now I've ascended immediately. Maybe it's not like that, but hell, if there could just be a liberation, there's far more hope beyond that point than where some could actually be right now in this moment, still chained to their fears, their insecurities, their doubts, their addictions, their obsessions, even with survival itself and scarcity and, so on and so forth. Like to have one combustive moment that would advance a movement, which this is the very opposite, the Temperance, as I think I said. This is balance and self control and moderation, harmony, peace, groundedness. All of that stuff is the antithesis of this devil energy. And as I said, it's like almost as much of an offense as it is a defense. And yet, there's something to be said here. It's got to be some type of phenomenon, especially since I'm trying to connect it to why I was talking about hip hop so intensely. And I guess you can even consider that hip hop is really only like a little over 50 years, right? In the grand scheme of things and all the music genres ever created, if you consider like the acceleration of that genre and how even now it still has a hold on the world, it has such a great influence on creativity, on everything that we do, whether you like it or not. Literally every pillar of society has some influence, or, where you talk about education, their college courses on Tupac, like I personally did with one of my philosophy professor. I did like this extra credit assignment. It was like a independent study on like Tupac, and at that time I was like referencing Michael Eric Dyson's book at the time. I can't remember what it was because it's been a long time, but that was, say, 20 years ago, almost, more than that, because I graduated in 2000. Well, it wasn't at the top of my college career, but it was somewhere in the middle, I think. So about, let's say, 20 years ago. And even that, at that point, where hip hop was even younger, there was room for a conversation about something that was ultimately kind of shunned as a joke at first, like a fad. Oh, that's never going to last. Nobody's going to, it wouldn't last the test of time. It wouldn't have traction. It wasn't respected in official music spaces and so on and so forth. But here we are today, and it's probably one of the most powerful influences, not just in music, but in everything, in the operation and in the creativity of the world, and production itself. of creativity. So yeah, something like that where it's like something that could be underestimated, even as I'm underestimating it right now. Like, no way, that could just happen just like that. But those that first engaged hip hop for what it was, at first didn't think that it could ever have the impact. Those that were even instrumental in, again, pioneering hip hop, as I'm making reference to the Rakims and the Eric B's, like those names that have to be in the conversation whenever you're talking about hip hop at its origin state. They would have never known that they would end up being the legends, the pioneers, the ones that, the godfathers and godmothers of the genre that people still respect, even the youngins, wet behind the ears as they may be, ultimately the ones that are serious about their craft anyway, know enough to at least reach back and educate themselves about where their roots are planted, you know what I mean, before they can really be successful for a long time. So it's something here about a force that may not look like much at first, or really just in perception, even down to the Eight of Pentacles. Maybe humanity itself may not look like much, but there are certain plants here, certain pioneers here that have the strength and the force to impact the entire world, make a universal impact on change in a way that's never happened before, and that could have a lasting effect, for years, maybe even lifetimes to come. That's what's happening now. Let me get some more on this because this is interesting. And it could even be like, oh, that's just that spiritual community, the spiritual movement, of which sometimes, hey, that's it, gets, denounced as demonic, as antichrist, as diabolical or witchcraft and dark and all types of things that, you wonder, like, have you ever even really listened to somebody, give a message for real? Like anybody that could form their lips to call me a witch or demonic or, some type of dark priestess or something, you clearly have never ever listened to any of my messages, because there's no way you could extract that energy from me unless you wanted to, unless you were just dead set on making it to be so. But it could even be that, like how the spiritual community is influencing change in such a way that right now is not even really being respected. Oh, that was in reverse. I gotta take it up in reverse. That's not even really being, yeah, but there it is though. This is like almost, kind of exactly what I'm saying, like almost like dismissing spiritual intelligence. Like, oh, that's just pseudoscience at best. Some people say that about astrology. That's just hogwash. That's just lies and manipulation. It's just trickery. It's just this, like all types of things about what it is upon perception, without really having the full experience or even giving it a chance. You know what I mean? Allowing yourself to experience, because why? With the Devil card, there's so much fear at the forefront of allowing yourself to experience something new, because of the damnation that one has been more or less conditioned to believe comes along with it. So if you feel like you burning some sage and, meditating or, whatever, like even reading tarot cards, if you've been told all your life that that's the devil's work, then you wouldn't, if you are intentional about being of the light in any way, shape, or form, of course, like you're going to uphold a boundary against something that you've been told is a thing, even without experiencing it for yourself. Which is understandable. It makes sense, but that's the binding, though, that those that are, those that have the will to break can and will, but it's a personal choice. It's really not like a binding in the sense that you can't break out of it. It's almost like a personal, a self-inflicted cord, or like captivity, or you know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, the Queen of Swords in reverse. What's on the bottom? This looking ass again. But this is the observation, though. Those that are that are observing what they see on the surface and making their own inferences, and also perhaps even what, combining that with what they've been told, which the Page of Swords, he's looking to collect information, but he's not already well informed. So again, back to that beginning of somebody that's looking at somebody at the Eight of Pentacles, like, how is he doing what he's doing? Maybe even now that we know more and this is developing more, looking at someone in a spiritual capacity, feeling like they shouldn't be that successful, they shouldn't be that empowered, maybe even chalking it up to being some dark work or work of the devil, when in fact it's just someone actually working in their light. And that's been the facade or the illusion for the collusion of the dark forces to confuse people from looking within themselves to find that for themselves, to demonize it with lies and manipulation and, with fear and things of that, misrepresentation, so that they could never really get to the truth. Like I said, while he's looking on the outside all along, it's really within. So it's something about now that, like I said, from the end of the Wiz, like people breaking out of their shell, no longer being in hiding about their spiritual nature and what they do in it, what they, how they express it, how it expresses itself, what value it has, so that others can see the real, not just like the facade, like somebody working supernaturally in a human body, and there's really no like detection of how that gets to be on the outside, because you got the same 24 hours that I have, so what the hell, breaking these lies and illusions to see the reflection of yourself even for what it truly is, and therefore recognizing your potential in a more ascended light. And that can get much deeper than what I'm saying, and even be more practical than what I'm saying, It could even come down to, at the very basic level, when I'm talking about hip hop and expression and gifts and talents, you looking at somebody else like just share their gifts with no inhibition. But you've all your life been conditioned to feel like you need to be working practically. You need to rely on something that, is more secure and sound to support yourself, even though you may be miserable at it. But that's what you've been groomed and conditioned to do societally, not even, in a very general sense. We all have. People have broken out of that mold here and there, and have therefore become, again, the living example of what's possible. But the powers that were have even glamorize that energy with Hollywood and in the entertainment industry to make you feel like there's only a select few that are privy to that experience, when in fact anyone is. If you decide what you want to do is X, Y, and Z, and that is in alignment with your truth and your destiny, then so shall it be, just as soon as you decide, just as soon as you say so. There is no gatekeeper. There is no no true rites of passage for the things that we have been told otherwise for a long time. Now, we know that conditioning is burning away, and even the spiritual and religious and even conventional conditioning is burning away as well, but it's something more aggressive and progressive that's happening to speed up the process, is what I feel. To really lay some lies and illusions to rest for once and for all, like that, that moment of revelation that if not all will be privy to witness, at least a great deal of those will, in such a way that it will become almost like it's something that you can't unsee, or it's like a new truth, a new reality, a new, I don't know, it's something where it's like you couldn't go back to ignorance the way that you knew it before, the way that you may have dwelled in it before, because what you see in front of you, the evidence of maybe even the spiritual realm, perhaps even through human beings and through human expression, not only is going to dispel old lies and illusions and myths, but it will advance a new truth. Yeah, look at this. Blocked to the lies. That's what that's given. Like like even you, it could even just be an inner knowing, maybe not even with your physical eyes, but there's some type of frequency of energy that's coming through that you won't be able to lie to yourself anymore. And you won't be able to be lied to, unless, of course, you want to be, because she just as well does have a blindfold on. But the energy that I'm feeling from this is more so being blocked from this falsehood here, like this, I don't know what this Queen of Swords is, and the reverse is like a birth of lies, or like a regeneration. There it is, a regeneration of illusions, like recycling those illusions over and over again. So many of them have been laid to rest at this point in time that, if you still holding on to certain ideals, literally it's just because that's what you feel most comfortable most comfortable connected to. But it's something about the shaking, though, and the shift that is set to occur, where you won't even really be able to do that comfortably. It's like you could lie to yourself, or you could submit or even surrender to certain illusions, but it wouldn't be like a blissful ignorance anymore. Like, well, this is just what everybody is doing, or this is how it's been done, or it's like there will be a disturbance in your auric field with that, like the illusion or the lie is like an irritant. You know what I mean? Like you won't be able to get comfortable in it, because you know what it is and you know that it's there, whether you choose to like acknowledge it or accept it or not. or even respond accordingly, it's there. So it'll be like a thorn in your side that you won't be able to ignore. Yeah, like here's the Two of Wands. This is the decision. Like, I love this. The Two of Swords. Like, what are you going to do with it on account of now this new revelation or new knowledge? Or it literally could be information that is advancing civilization as we know it, where what we've all thought it was at some point in time, we are going to be enlightened to know that it's something, I would say, pretty miraculous. Certainly not limited the way that we have been conditioned to believe it is. And then from that point, you know, once you have the information, it'll be up to you to decide how you apply it, literally, with the Two of Wands. Like, I know there's some people that wish back in the day they had invested in hip hop early, before, that they got in at the time when it was really, in the beginning stage is true indeed, because wow, look at this, because you would have, staked your claim or whatever, or, planted your footing. Hopefully, ideally in some effective way that would be sustainable for the long run, to carry it out and really, hit the jackpot eras of hip hop when it became a cash cow. You know what I mean? So a lot of people probably wish they had the foresight to see what it had the potential to become, but not everybody did. And the evidence was there, because you could see the traction that it was making. You could see the kids being completely, consumed by the culture, from literally wildfire, from city to city and eventually suburb to suburb, but some still denied it. Some still resisted it because it wasn't conventional, traditional. It wasn't, palatable to the norm of music culture as it was established at that point. But like I said, I'm sure they wish they had. And it could be something similar here, where everyone, as always, has free will. And the evidence will be irrefutable as to the essence of whatever this shift and transition is. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is destined and fated, and it's also, again, speaking to an accelerated or an expanded progression of destiny, of something that is universally ordained, that it's happening regardless. It's unstoppable. This could even be like a portal of sorts that is transferable in that same frequency that I'm speaking of, where you get to now be fully operative in your spirit and physical being without limitation. I feel like the evidence of it is what may come before that portal closes, where there's no more opportunity, or I don't know, maybe, I don't think it has. I don't believe so, but that could be the point of us all. I don't know. There's a question. I would just remain, hopeful as I usually am, that there's always time, which is representative here, even with the Wheel of Fortune, that there is opportunity by way of, this is almost like Gabriel, the Temperance. Well, really it's Archangel Michael, but sometimes I read it as Gabriel. A lot of people see the Lover's angel as Gabriel, but sometimes this could be Gabriel, because I feel like Gabriel's energy was about making spirit into matter, and how that got to be was through the word that angel spoke. Like the word was like the spirit in transportation into the physical form, and once it was spoken into the earth, conducted or transmitted to whomever it was assigned to, i.e. the Moseses, the Marys. Well, I don't think he spoke to Moses, but like the Marys for sure. And I can't think of who else Gabriel spoke to, but hell, if it's just Mary, okay, surely that was enough in context of the story, right? What if she didn't get the word, or didn't receive it, or didn't respond accordingly? There could be a very different conversation about spirituality in general. Like, imagine where would the foundation truly be? And that's every expression of the narrative, whether you subscribe to the most ancient of the rendition to the most advanced or the most enhanced, however you see it, whatever. It's still about the foundation that was established, of which there was an allowance, or to build upon. And yeah, it could have been a little bit faulty here and there, again, with that interference, the influence, the illusions, the lies, the manipulations, the distortions of the truth, all of that good stuff. But at the core of it, there could have been nothing, nothing to reference at all. I wonder, what could have been of creation if that were the case. We could be more lost than anything, But anyway, I digress. The Wheel of Fortune is speaking to like a timing, like a timed release of a prophecy that could be playing out as we speak, in real time, or is just like the notoriety that it's sure to come, as my stomach is growling. But what else was I saying about this? Because I kind of lost my track with the Wheel of Fortune. And it's jackpot energy, so whatever it is, it's more or less like, well, I'll say it has the force of impact that could be quite prosperous and productive, or could be detrimental. It just depends on how you're braced for that impact, and what your level of receptivity is. Oh, that's what I was saying about having time to perceive of the evidence, to perceive even the prophecy come to life before your eyes, and there still be an opportunity to align with it. Back to that devil energy, where there are some that still may need to see evidence, or may need to see some results or something in a physical form to be, to feel secure, to submit and surrender, perhaps. And that's the reason why there's been a reserve of grace for those that, may not be able to just jump out on faith, or jump out on a whim of what they may sense even in their intuitive being, before they could witness it with their physical eyes or senses. I don't know. I feel like, because as I was saying, it could be something that could be an immediate impact and a universal impact, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the effect will be just as hip-hop didn't just, in the grand scheme of things, it felt like overnight that it took over the world, but because 50 years isn't really that much, but ultimately there still was an unfolding, an unveiling, a rollout, a wave, so that could be what we're speaking of with the high priestess here. Even it's just like that high frequency of divine femininity that is, the womb of this regeneration of creation, and not necessarily sheerly in the physical form, but the emanation of creation through that feminine force, like a more spiritually refined force that is okay with that refinery, not resistant to it anymore, whether it be literally a woman or just this aspect of that someone embodies in their being, even as a masculine, where, as I said before, no longer resisting the mysterium and even the mystique of spirituality that has even been condemned, and shunned and demonized, but now truly embracing it for the truth that it resonates within you, especially those that now get to witness the effects firsthand and now have all the evidence in the world that, okay, we're good here. It's not what I was told, it's not what I thought, it's not what I was conditioned to believe. Now I can kind of dip my toe in this water and see how it transforms me from the inside out, and then so be it, and then that gets to be the rollout of regeneration throughout creation that, more or less could be the sustainable force or the sustainable reality of life, of course, to evolve evermore, but never to return to the limitations and confinement and captivity that it was before. That's the breaking off that will never be. It's like we'll never live in a world where, well, at least as far as we're alive anyway, or can you even imagine, let's just say, a world where hip hop has no influence? Really, every music genre, even within hip hop, because it borrowed from jazz and borrowed from funk and, and even from other evolved creators, borrow from other non-typical genres to cross over classical and rock and so on and so forth. So like just creativity overall, particularly talking about music, there really isn't a world where any of those influences could die without a point of reference ever again, because as soon as it's born and it's realized, as soon as it just may be a transformation into some other expression, but it never really truly does die. When we think about it, hip hop just seems to be the thing that I can really, of course, most relate to, but certainly, that I can transfuse into this message because it actually makes sense. Not only did I channel the songs, but it's something that we can refer to in real time and see what it was, if you're old enough, or even just to be able to historically reference what it was and what it truly is now, and even to project what it's still on track to be, because ain't nobody, it may not be the hip hop that I grew up on, but it still has those roots, and those roots can never really truly be killed, no matter what. There will always be a time when it'll come back around and somebody will be sampling Eric B. and Rakim in another 10 years, and that'll be a funky sound, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny how people have circled back around to like 90s music, which is definitely my era, like my golden era. And it's like almost like it's classic, you know what I mean, or old school. And really it's not for me, you know what I mean? Like it's not even that long ago in my eyes, from my perspective, but that's how things just never do die when there's an authentic essence that is transferable beyond its its origin is what I'm trying to say. So it's something the same here with that. You know, maybe just energy in general, but it's more so about this transfusion of sorts of the truth that is purifying that essence of humanity and the conversion of spirit and man, so that that is what can resonate. Because all along we've been resonating on this illusion for a long time, you know. So now this transfusion is what the shift gets to be. And here are those that still would like to keep it where it was. You know, some people that still, you know, I ain't tripping. Hip hop ain't what it was when when I was connected to it. And most of the stuff I don't even listen to, the new age stuff, but it's not for me, you know. So it's not for me to try to captivate the new age sound to what is more palatable for me, when I could just go listen to what I love, you know what I mean? Or listen to what resonates with me and maybe what is nostalgia. And then of course there are a few that pique my interest here and there, but for the most part, it's like trying to keep creativity in a time capsule or in a time warp that it has long since evolved from. You know, there's still energies that will insist upon that, either for their own comfort or benefit or for their own, you know, opportunistic purposes. But it's not a force that can wreck with the wheel of fortune when it's actively in motion. You'll just get ran over pretty much, you know. So people can either get with it or get lost. However this rollout is fitting to happen. Yeah, King of Wands. Yeah, this is active, you know, like proactivity of creativity is what this is. You know, innovation even, I would say, that's going to absorb this spiritual essence, even this ingenuity, and now turn it into some type of force fuel for self. You know, like whomever is in alignment with this regeneration of creation will be empowered in some new or activated in some new progressive way, with the Nine of Wands being able to create on a whole new level than you ever either were before, or certainly than you ever thought was possible. That's what I'm getting there with that. Wow, look, in the Chariot, yeah, moving forward. I'm going to keep going. And that's where the measure of success will, that's where success will, I guess, will project from, like this synergy here, like activating your spiritual, like the transfusion of that spiritual energy then being conducted. Literally, I'm talking about transfusion. It must be some type of transfusion of frequency that's getting ready to happen. So is happening. Yes, far more energetic, because that's what this is giving me. Like with the High Priestess and the King of Wands, it's literally like a transfusion through it's a DNA activation. Okay, got it. So it's DNA upgrades and activations that have already been happening. That I know for sure. But there's something it's like when I'm saying transfusion, that's something that's almost like a flush out or flush in, however you see it. It's like almost purifying your pathways and your veins or whatever with a whole new substance of vitality, i.e. through the blood, you know. But that imagery is what I'm really zeroing in on. It's more energetic, I believe, than it actually is biological, but that's the way that it works. Like, I don't even know exactly how blood transfusion works, but just generally, I know that you're literally taking blood and forcing it through the body. I'm guessing to flush through or flush out what was there, or just to purify, like to add more of a purified substance to what may have been impure before. Okay. So that's what we're talking about here. So here's the high priestess frequency, and that flush out or flush in is this new sound revelation of truth that is, it could be quite a sophisticated spiritual conception indeed, that in many ways might rival our natural conditioning or our conventional conditioning, but those that are in alignment to be transfused will feel this result of almost like, being a new living organism, as the King of Wands is representing here. New power, new confidence, new courage, new authority, creativity, ambition, drive, like all of that coming along with just this like willingness to be a conduit. Wow. Oh my God, I don't know how this is finna go. It's like one thing to know, wow, and this is in reverse. Yes, the end of illusions. Nothing is going to be left, especially for those that are in the market for it. It's like not everybody may be in the market for a blood transfusion or energy transfusion, but those that absolutely are, oh, you gonna get it. You gonna get it. And it's going to flush out all the impurities, all like almost make it, how I was saying, like, well, I don't know if I was saying it. I think I did say it, but how you almost have too much going on to consider, where you could go with this, but you've been told that, and you were raised to believe this, but society tells you this. Like, there's always some conflicting concept to consider, and who knows what of it really is true, and most of it I think we're probably going to realize, or what is to be revealed is that most of it isn't, or there's some hint of illusion or lie to all of it, except for one solid truth, of which could still be a very personal transmission, like what ultimately becomes one's official truth may be different than what it is for someone else. But what I'm getting to is that there's an elimination of the illusions that we can look forward to for those that are in the market, for those impurities to be purged out, where you no longer have to juggle with the possibilities. It's all potentiality now. Everything is a potential force as long as you are in alignment with it. Wow. And knowing possibilities as well is what I'm sensing on that. What's on the bottom? Wow, yeah. Eight of Swords, this is disempowerment of what's been projected from the outside in and what's been accepted from the inside out. There's an opportunity, as I started all of this from the beginning, to release self from this captivity, to be released from that density of the devil's energy where you defer your power, even with the best intentions, to someone or something else to dictate for you, to tell you what you should believe, to tell you what you should do, to make decisions on your behalf, to conduct your energy. Like, you can still have it that way, but as I said, it will not be in comfort. Won't be a blissful ignorance. It'll be excruciating. Who wants to sign up for that? All right, let me get one more because I think this is getting kind of long. And here's the Six of Pentacles. This is the, you know what this is? This is like, I was saying, like how it starts to sweep across creation. You know, each one teach one, each one reach one type of energy. Hip hop, CD sales, you know, when the industry was climbing, well, first when people were selling tapes out the trunks of their car, or even CDs for some at some point. And now it's like a business, it's a market, it's a movement, it's a lifestyle, you know, like it's something far more substantial than what it started off to be. And this is the projection of all that being so from what I'm talking about, where some may be in queue or in alignment for this transfusion and they get it, and because of that, you know, it's like having a groundbreaking surgery that no one's ever had before. You know, like the first time they did like a Siamese twin separation, or a heart transfer, or a brain transfusion, or whatever, I don't know, whatever the heck, you know. But before that, it was something that couldn't even be fathomable, you know. But now that it's been done, now those that may actually be in need or in desire of that service, that treatment, that experience, now know that it's available. It's not a fantasy, it's not an illusion, it's not a good idea or a good ideal. It's actually a reality that is tangible and achievable. And that is, I feel like that's more on the energetic level of what's achievable to possess and to express. And perhaps just a faithful few are, you know, first up to be the pioneers of that, you know, or be the poster children, literally the spiritual poster child of sorts of that. But it ends up birthing a whole new generation of creation that now know nothing but the reality of what's possible, you know, or nothing but the potential of what they can attain or aspire to. No more limitations, no more bindings, no more deficiencies, you know. Like if the transfusion is successful for one, then certainly it can be successful for all, you know. So there's something deeper than that here, but I ain't got time to go down. Oh, this motherfucker. Like, here he go. Let's see what's under here. Wow. And this is like, ooh, this is like the conspiracy between, or even collusion, I would say, between the powers that were, clearly, shout out to Shavi Zane, and literally the powers that, both the powers that were, you know, at the top of, you know, this food chain of creation and spirit and in truth, right? You know, even thinking of the executives that are now having to figure it out now that, you know, music is becoming more independent. And where they used to feed off of talent, you know, almost vampirize that energy, those that saw the potential in it, and not just the potential to grow it and expand it, but then saw the potential to exploit it, because that's the other side of it, right? But even that is being balanced and rectified now, especially given this, let's say, like a a break in spiritual science is occurring, like medical science. You know what I mean? Like a breakthrough. Ooh, yeah. It's like a breakthrough in spiritual science that's happening. And I was saying, like, some call it pseudoscience, some call it, that's what it is. And that's what has been resisted for a long time, again, because once you can have evidence for something being an actuality, and there's a case that can be built upon it that is credible, when you actually have the evidence, which in this case is probably more human evidence than anything, you can't refute it, you can't deny it, you can't dismiss it, and then you certainly can't contain it, because it's going to catch like wildfire, just like hip-hop. Just like hip-hop. And I think the difference is, as I was saying about this regeneration and this purification, is that where these powers usually are able to shapeshift themselves to be a corruption of exploitation, no matter what the breakthrough may be. They always seem to be able to position themselves to be right at the mouth of the breakthrough. So all that prosperity just kind of floods straight into their pockets. They always seem to angle themselves just perfectly to catch it all. But there's something now that's not going to be possible, because it's something about the purity, of whatever this transition is, or transformation, or transfusion, whatever it is so pure that it doesn't allow for exploitation and infiltration. Like, you either have it or you don't. You either truly support it or accept it, acknowledge it, or you don't. And it's still a matter of choice. But what you won't be able to do is profit and benefit on account of it. And it's because it's such a personal experience. It's not like, and there is no gatekeeper for it anymore. So it's not like, say with hip hop, eventually gatekeepers establish themselves to be able to dictate who comes in, who goes out, how do you make money, how much you make, what the look or the sound is of the time, how progressive or successful someone can be, how many can be successful. If you can dictate that and control that and manipulate that flow and that fluctuation, you can certainly direct it at will, particularly to where it benefits you most. That's where contracts, these messed up contracts come into play. But because this transmission is so pure, where you can't even receive it unless you're in a certain frequency, those that express it will know well to be conservative with how they do so, or else they'll be in jeopardy of losing it themselves, or be in the threat of in a dangerous position, in a threatening position themselves, which they wouldn't want to do. They'll learn very quickly how to protect that energy. And there is no one that can open a gate or open a pathway except for the Most High, or the supreme source of all as it is, which already has, and it comes from the inside out. So you can't gatekeep me on what I divinely possess, and don't, not to say they won't try, because they'll probably try, as they already have flooded the spiritual community with all types of plants and moles and and agents and everything else, they'll try to cause confusion and manipulate the energy to the point of illusion, where it almost makes it hard to recognize, what's real from what's fake. But there's something that's also happening simultaneously. I think, like I was saying, it's almost like a direct attack on this obstinate energy, whereas before it was kind of running rampant and had more liberty to do those exploits. This ain't that no more. Not like it was. Not like it was. So although some may still try, they will try, but probably, it's like playing with fire at this point to even try. They'll probably injure themselves far more than they'll actually be able to exploit anyone else or to benefit or profit from anyone else. Because this is a frequency here, like, like the process of a damn blood transfusion is something sophisticated, at least spiritually sophisticated enough that not just anybody can do it. You have to have special training, special experience, expertise. Like I said, there's still a process in all of this. You don't just go straight from your bachelor's to going to operate on people. Those that have the credentials to operate in this frequency now is because they've gone through a process to refine, literally, that Eight of Pentacles, back to the Eight of Pentacles, to refine those skill sets, to refine that trade, that talent, those gifts, that technique. Okay? So those that, are sweating it and trying to get it for themselves, they just gonna be sweating in hell, panting for ice water, their own personal hell at that, until they feel convicted enough to do exactly as I said for that Page of Swords. Go within and find your own technique, period. That's the only way out, is in. The only way forward is in at this point. Shoot, the only way up is in. But the way down will always be the way down. The low down at that. All right, so I'm gonna leave this here. This was kind of loaded. I wish I had really kind of grasped it. I don't know, it don't always unfolds the way it should. Queen of Wands, right on top of the King of Wands. Well, I'll be. It always unfolds the way that it should, but sometimes I wish I could catch it a little sooner. Because once I realize how deep it truly is, usually it's time to close it out, to head on out. But anyway, hopefully you got something from it, And it's only Monday, so we'll see where the week takes us, right? Indeed. So anyway, thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.